This whole program, and some of you guys are new, but this whole program is about you coming into the industry as an overachiever, a high achiever and over frickin' achiever. And that makes people go, oh, you're one of the good ones. And then that makes people hire you consistently as a production assistant, as well as and so those are on the big sets, the big union sets. And then as well as, hey, we're shooting a commercial, a local commercial. We need a production designer. They met you as a production assistant, and now you're maybe camera operating, you're production designing. That's on the, $200, $300, $400 per day. And then at the same time, you're like, I'm going to do that work. I'm also want to get on these big sets and meet these people. Meet people those are the people I'm going, that's where I'm going. Like when I was starting, I was going for National Geographic. So I'm using the sets, PAing, to be able to meet people that can refer me to other people on National Geographic sets. And then I stopped PAing and I started only working for National Geographic and behind the scenes and press junkets and interviews. And I'm making anywhere from $250 for a half day to $400, $450 for a full day. And I thought I was like, I made it. This is it. This is amazing business. I'm like so happy. I've made it. I'm working with celebrities all the time. I'm working on the Austin Powers movies. I'm working with everybody. And I'm making like $100,000 a year. But I remember I was working all the time. I'm totally in demand. I'm like, I'm like double, triple booked. And I was driving down the freeway and I'm adding up all the money that I made that week. And so I'd work like 6 days in that week and I made $1,250. And I remember thinking, yeah, I made $1,250. Wow, cool. And then I remembered that on one of the sets that I had worked on, I worked with this big commercial set, and I was talking to the sound mixer there, and I was like, hey, how much do you guys charge for labor? Now, I didn't say how much do you make, or what kind of rates do people make, so many different ways of saying it. He's like, $750, and I was like, oh, wow. And then how about for gear? What do you guys charge for gear? And he's like, oh, that's around $1,000 a day. I'm like, holy shit, that's $1,750 per day. This was like 20 years ago. I'm like, holy shit. That's one day. Now, I looked at his gear, and I put him up in a pedestal too. So I was just like, wow. I was just staring at it all the time, trying to figure out, and asking questions. Oh, so that's what you use for the context, different things like that. I'm like, oh, wow, $1,750 per day. Holy shit, that's a lot of money. And then, so I realized that. I'm like, holy shit, I just worked for $1,250, 6 days, where he worked one day and made more than me. I'm like, I got to do commercials. That was when I was like, I got to get into commercials. Now, everybody that I was working with, we were working on press junkets, documentaries, interviews. It was really fun stuff. And those calls kept coming in. I mean, that was effortless. Now, this is one of these traps I'm telling you guys about, okay? Because if your goal is Netflix, you have to build that base. Otherwise, it's not going to happen. So this is really super fun. This is obviously, we're talking about years of working, and we're all here getting started and we're getting this thing going. So I want to tell you this because a lot of these people that I've worked with at that time, they're still doing that work. So they never learned what I'm teaching you right now. And it's fine if that's what the life that you want is, to do reality TV and documentaries and interviews and that kind of work. But if your goal is Netflix, then you have to, when you are building this thing, make those relationships. So be doing both. I didn't know how to get into commercials. It was just an idea in my mind, just a thought in my mind, which is perfect. Because just having that thought, initially the thought was National Geographic. And then a lot of the focus in the conversations led me into the people and the experiences and the proof that I could work for National Geographic, and then they started hiring me. So I thought, I can do that. That's what I'm doing. I'm going to get into commercials. I'm going to make $1,750 per day. And I remember telling my husband, Joe, and he's like, but you don't have that equipment. I'm like, I know I'm going to get it. He's like, but you don't have the connections. You don't know anything. You don't know how to do that at all. I'm like, I know, I'm going to learn it. And he's like, but you don't even have a van. I'm like, we'll buy the van. And then he thought he better be quiet about it because I was going to fucking do this. And it's a good feeling to have that. The feeling, I got to meet those people. I got to meet those production people. So I started doing my magic list for commercials. So I subscribed to Shoot Online magazine, which is like a newspaper that had all of the productions, and it would name all of the awards that all of these commercial people were getting, all the directors and the producers and the executive producers and the companies, and what they're winning and what they're doing and what they're working on next and what documentaries that they've done that has put them on the map. It's their own promotion for that whole sector. Nobody was doing that. Nobody does that. Nobody that I know that was working in documentaries and behind the scenes and interviews even thought of getting into commercials. And when I got into commercials, they were like, how did you do that? And I said, I got obsessed and decided that I was going to do that. So that was one of the, I want to tell you my path because I want you to see what an overachiever does, and then it happens. Because you all are overachievers, and my job is to turn that part of your brain on fire and give you a lot of confidence and knowing that, oh yeah, it will work. You don't have to worry about it's going to work. Oh, it will work. I started buying the gear. I bought the van. I started reaching out to other sound mixers from the Shoot magazine. I did my magic list of all the commercial production companies. And then I put together my resume, which showed all of my equipment. See, I didn't know. It's like they don't care about my equipment. They don't even know what the equipment is. So me listing all the equipment, that's not what. So I want you to know that what it is, it's a lot of misses. It's a lot of work. So first of all, what I had behind me at that point was a lot of work, a lot of people, a lot of shoots, knowing what I was doing, and confidence and drive, knowing I can do this. And I sent that to all the people that I saw in the Shoot magazine, and I wrote personal letters like, hey, I know that you wrote that you did this documentary. I'd love to work with you someday. I come from National Geographic stuff. And do you think it worked? You'd think it would work, but I didn't understand the business well enough. It's like, okay, here's somebody, they might be good, but they don't know commercials, so I can't take a shot at them. I can't just have this documentary person come in here. What about the context? What about the rhythm? It's just, and it's too much work. And it's risking too much of their career to bring somebody in that is that might be great, but they don't know the drill. And of course, nobody has time to teach. It's just not the way that it works. Nobody's time to teach you. Nobody's time to explain anything to you. And it's too much of a risk to hire somebody that's new that doesn't know, even though they could be a great person. So this is a problem that you could be running into when you're a DP, when you're a producer, when you're doing the smaller stuff and you're like, hey, I'd love to do feature films. I would love to get the opportunity. They're like, okay, that's great for you, but I'll know you when you're referred by somebody that is at my level. Like when you're referred by my producer friend, oh, that's when I'm going to hire you. And that's only when I'm going to hire you. And that's true. So we understand that, and that's get it factor. So we keep building up in the sector that we want to be in. Because how is it going to work? You work with people as production assistants, and you work with people that are going to take you under their wing and teach you and then send you work. Then you come back to them. You're like, oh, that was amazing. I learned this. I did that. I worked with this person. And then it's always through jobs, through shoots, through professional shoots that your name starts getting passed around. And people start to hear about you, and pretty soon people are like, oh, that person? Good luck getting them. They're so busy. That's my reputation now. A lot of people don't call me because they're like, oh, she's going to be booked already. As soon as they call me, I ask them, oh, okay, so is it union? Is there a boom op? Is this a regular budget thing? Is this all day shoots? When I ask these questions, I do want to know these things, but it also sets me up as, oh, she's picking and choosing her jobs. She must be good. And this is the way I think about myself. And that's the way that I would communicate in my emails. And that is my kind of feeling on set. And it's not all about me. It's like, I am good. I understand this business. I've applied my own training that I'm giving you to the way that I do my job. And they respond. They don't negotiate with me, hardly at all. They don't do anything like, oh, we want like the gear on a 3-day shoot and it's like a 5-day shoot. They probably don't even call me on shoots where there's not enough money. And I work all the time. This whole thing, I just want you to know, this is what you're building. And a lot of it is psychological, the way that you're thinking about yourself, the way that you're coming across with people, in conversations with the director, with the producer, with other departments, the way that you are, the way that you're being, the whole thing. It feels really good to get in that position where you've just got work coming to you, but you also know that you've built it, because it's not just gonna land in your lap. I mean, there are many people that are really good, they're connected, but they work half as much as me. And what's the difference? It's the way that they see themselves. It's the way that they're operating, the way that they're being out there. This will happen when you become an overachiever in the way that you're approaching your job, okay? So you don't have to worry about, oh, is that going to happen for me? Oh, it will happen for you. You be an overachiever. You give love to people on set. You have your magic list. You can continue to learn. You take notes on set. It's going to happen for you.